control. So I like to cross my ankles under his ass and base out just from the initial explosion. Right when you mount, that's when most jiu-jitsu players will explode. So I wanted to mount, stabilize the mount just for a second by skydiving. Call this position skydiving. It's nothing new, just didn't have a name. There's a big difference between this kind of mount and this kind of mount. It's not the same thing. So this mount here, I call skydive. And we only want to skydive for a second. We don't want both his arms free for very long. When we're in the mount, I want to take away one arm. This is the main goal. Take away one arm. Head and arm position right here. If I take away this arm, it takes away one of his best escapes, which is both hands on the hips and bumping me up and getting me back into guard. So as long as I'm fighting and I'm digging and I'm for this elbow, while I'm in skydive, I'm in good shape here. He can still upa, he can still explode if I don't have my balance together. He can still roll me, but the hip escape is gone. Right, so from here, I don't leave skydive, meaning I don't uncross my feet until I can get his arm jammed up. And once his arm is jammed up here, this can lead to a lot of things. But the main thing that it's leading to is the arm triangle, which ends up looking like this. I need to develop the power and the skill to drive this elbow up. It leads to arm triangles and it could lead to a lot of different things, all right? So this is not a good position for him. It's never good to have your arm here. Some people get claustrophobic. I get claustrophobic here. So I'm mounting, I'm skydiving, and immediately I'm taking one arm out of the mix. And from here, he's gonna be resisting, and I'm trying to jam his arm up. So I'm trying not to slide off his elbow over the top. I'm trying to come out as wide as possible. I'm walking my fingers on a mat until I get to head and armpit control, because I'm grabbing his head and I'm grabbing his armpit. This is head and arm control. This is head and armpit control. Head and armpit controls, I'm pinning his arm against his head. And once I got this far, then the arm triangle is not that far away. I'm controlling his head, pinning it to his stomach. Now I'm bringing my chin over his elbow, because I'm gonna have to let go of his head for a second. So I need as much pressure on his arm to keep it there as possible when I let go of his head. Soon as I let go of his head, I wanna palm strike his arm to keep it in there, drive my head down, and now I'm in a gable grip and my head's on the mat. This is the chopping block. The arm triangle's almost done. I like to stay here, wear him out, break his soul. I don't like to squeeze too soon. I like to hang out and relax. I'll even bring my legs over here and just lay down here and relax. But when I'm ready to go, I want to put my knee on his belly. I want to get my right foot in a track stance. I don't want to do this or that. It's nice and base, driving my head into his head. Cinch up the rear naked choke or the figure four, and now I'm going to twist counterclockwise and down into his shoulder and kick my left leg, kicking his hip, twisting it. If he's answering the telephone, which is a very popular defense, the best way to get that hand off his ear is the caterpillar. We used to do the hang up.
Yeah.
Hang up's not nearly as effective as the caterpillar. This is a new move. You take your fingers and just creep them under his hand, and it just peels his hand right off his ear, right off his head, and takes away his defense. Right, so we're in the arm triangle here. It's nice and tight. I'm twisting down into his right shoulder and squeezing, kicking his hip, stretching his body like this, and squeezing his neck. Right, we're here. Once we decide to leave the chopping block, a lot of guys finish arm triangles like this, and it's very effective. They don't even figure four their arms. But if you're doing an arm triangle from half guard on the bottom, where you don't have your weight on top of you, there's no way the gable grip is going to work. You have to figure four it. So that tells me that that's the most powerful squeeze. So on top, when you don't always need the figure four, you can get away with the head on, with just a gable grip. Doesn't mean it's the best. Just means you can get away with it. I personally think that the figure four is the best, and usually most of my arm triangles are done with the figure four. There's a couple different variations to the arm triangle that I like to use. The first one usually works. Very high percentage right here. But sometimes I gotta drive my knee into his chest, right under his neck. That's the impaler. That usually seals the deal. So for some reason he's not tapping here. Some guys are really hard to choke. You need to sprinkle in some pain. So if you have short enough legs and you're flexible, you can pull this off. Guys with real long legs are going to have a hard time pulling this one off. Once I'm here and I'm squeezing and it's not enough, I'm going to take my left knee and just drive it into the top of his chest and just squeeze down. That usually does the trick. You do compromise your base a little, and you could get rolled, but if you do it fast enough, the pain is usually enough to get a quick tap. Again, we're here. The standard arm triangle is not working. So in a flash, you bring in your right foot to base and drive your left knee right into his throat. Another variation. We're driving our knee into his stomach. We can also twist him a different way. I'm twisting down with my left elbow into his right shoulder. But if you can put your foot right here, you can twist even more. This ain't working. I'm gonna drive my knee down more, like close to the ground, bring this foot right into his hip, and then twist. That one's called the chimp. So there's the arm triangle, the impaler, and the last one is the chimp. We're back in the mount, we're skydiving, we're trying to get a hold, we're trying to control this arm. Sometimes we have a hard time controlling the arm, sometimes we can just grab the wrist here and pin it down. This is the best way to control the wrist from the mount. This way, there's no control. He can get out of that really easy. But it leads right into a Kimura. You sacrifice control, but it leads directly into a Kimura. Here, this is the best control, but there's really no arm lock from this position. It's just the ultimate control. We're leaning into this control. My left arm is wrapped around his head. The best submission from this position here is setting up a triangle. And you need some flexibility to set it up this way. This is called the slow triangle. And once I can control his arm out here and pin it to the ground, now I'm going to release spider or skydive, drive, slide my left knee as high as possible. Now the arm that's around the neck, I'm going to reach for my foot here. The best thing to do is swing it through and catch your ankle here and wrap it around his head for a triangle. But sometimes, if you have some flexibility issues, you're pinning his wrist down, you're controlling it, and you crawl your feet up nice and slow, and then you wrap it around his head. That's why I call it slow triangle.